Hey everyone, Sweet Johnny Cage here, back with another guide for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. This time I'm going to show you the location of all three Odin sanctuaries in the Nibel region, all the divine intels, and then at the end of that I'll show you how to defeat Odin in the VR simulator this week and get his summon materia. One tip that I do want to give you when going for these divine intels as well as exploring the Nibel region in general, especially on Chocoback, make sure you pick up all the Choco Grass you see. There are a finite number, and there is a side quest that has pretty great rewards if you find all of them. So just keep that in mind, especially when you're in these caves. You want to really try to get all the Choco Grass. Don't leave a room until you've really looked around, make sure there's no more in there, and then move on. Otherwise, you're going to have to do what I did and just backtrack through every single cave until you find the one you're missing. All right, as always, I'll cut the VO here for the Divine Intels. If you're looking for one in particular, check the timestamps. And then if you're looking to skip just to the boss guide, there's a timestamp there as well. And I'll resume the VO for the boss fight. All right, see you in a bit.
It has been said that the land of the dead lies just beyond Mount Nibel. From this belief arises the conception of Odin as a gatekeeper of the afterlife, one who turns away all whose time has not yet come. According to local legend, Odin's Zontetsken is capable of cleaving anything in two, be it the fabric of creation or the time between the seconds. You know, not to compare swords, but his might trump yours.
Odin is a very difficult but very entertaining boss fight, and I mean that so sincerely. The way this fight works, and I'm actually going to fail here, and I'm not going to assess the boss. I made a mistake here because I had to fight him a bunch before I could figure him out. But basically, If you assess the boss, you will learn that by either dodging his abilities or perfect blocking them, you will not only exhilarate Odin, because he's so impressed by what a true warrior you are, but it will cause him to become pressured. But that's not really how it works. It is how it works, but there's kind of another hidden mechanic here. So, if you use debilitating spells on him, such as poison, any sort of detrimental effect, poison is really effective against him, but that will also begin to pressure him, and that will cause him to use an ability later on, which then allows you to completely pressure him very, very quickly. So, he's got a few abilities starting out. He's got a charge. Just avoid that. I don't recommend even attempting to learn the perfect block timing of his abilities. There's no point. If you dodge them, you'll be fine. So, Sleipnir's Fuhrer is what you're looking for. Because we have poisoned the boss, we barely had to dodge any of his attacks. And now he has all these status effects on him. However, his pressure gauge can now be filled. So use everything you have to build pressure as quickly as possible. There is one thing you have to look out for here, though. There is a possibility that if you attack too quickly after he attacks, he can deflect your attack and deal damage to you. So you have to kind of like get used to the timing for him. But he can parry your attacks and then back away, and then that wastes time, and he begins to reset his pressure meter. But once you pressure him once, do your best to expend ATB abilities, because you want to use synergy abilities shortly after that. This way, you can increase your limit level. So, Bear, Cloud, Red 13 is my party throughout most of the game. They are such a great combo. Their synergy abilities deal such high damage. And then you're also able to get the 3 ATB synergy ability, so it's a really, really good combo. After Odin gets pressured the first time, he will take out a new weapon, and then he will be using new abilities. So he takes out his sword instead of his spear in this second phase. This is when you want to attempt to deal as much damage to him as possible. And the reason I recommend that is because these attacks, such as Shimmering Blade, they have very odd timings and can be very difficult to avoid. It's not like when he's using the spear as big, sweeping, long animations. No. With the sword, everything is a lot faster. Eventually, when he gets near 50% HP, he'll use an ability called Spatial Distortion. This basically cuts the arena in half. And you may get really worried about this, and I can understand why, but it's kind of just here to mess with you. It's not really here to deal damage to you. It's just to make the arena smaller and to make you panic. However, what he can also do during this phase is cast Stop. And then that will cause your party members to completely freeze, and then you won't be able to build any ATB. However, when this happens, make sure you cast Bio or Bioaga on him. Poison him as hard as you can, because as you saw just a few seconds ago, it completely chunked his pressure meter and built it up so high so fast. However, the other thing, and I realize I keep saying however, but it's such a chaotic fight, Shimmering Blade deals a ton of damage, and if you get hit by it once, chances are your character is going to get one shot, especially if you eat both hits. So just be very, very mindful of Shimmering Blade. If you can, try to move to his right and just keep doing that. This way the sword swing misses you, and then it just sort of sweeps around you, but it is a bit of a combo, so you got to keep moving to his right that whole time that he's casting that. If you have additional limit breaks here, this is when you want to cast him when he's staggered. If you have Aerith with you and you have her weapon from the Nibel region that allows her to cast Ray of Judgment, that can build his stagger. However, it's a bit slower in this game to build, so it's not as effective, but still very, very useful. With Odin in particular, he has a very deadly ultimate ability to the point where it will always deal 9,999 damage to you. It does not count as instant KO. It doesn't count as instant death. It is 9,999 raw damage, and you will die every single time. That ability is Zantetsuken. You never want him to cast that, and that is why avoiding his attacks is pivotal to surviving this fight. If you do this without fighting his weakened state, his level 3 power down, you're going to be eating that ability for breakfast. He's going to cast it so fast on you. And so this is really the one fight where I highly, highly recommend that you make sure you fight him in a weakened state. If you're fighting him on level 1, Godspeed. I wish you all the luck in the world. But fighting him in the weakened state allows you to just, not really worry about that ability so much. You will also notice that if you've watched my other summon guides, this is the first and really only one that I'm using a summon in, and that's Alexander. I didn't pick Alexander for any particular reason. Odin is not an elemental summon, so it doesn't really matter. But Divine Judgment, which is Alexander's ultimate ability, does so much damage, and so I was thinking, since Cloud is dead and I don't have Raise Materia equipped on anybody, let me just bring out Alexander to deal some extra damage. I didn't end up needing it, but as you saw there, Cloud was dead, Barret was frozen with Stop. It all ended up being on Red 13's shoulders at the end, but Alexander's little peppering attacks throughout the fight certainly helped whittle down Odin's health bar. So again, the point of this fight is avoid his attacks. The more you do that, the more exhilarated he becomes, and then you can pressure him, and then he switches weapons, and then you pressure him, and then he switches weapons again. If you do not avoid his attacks, or you eat too many of them, he will, no matter what, cast his ultimate ability, and you're dead. So you have to avoid his attacks or perfect block them, but it's just a lot easier to avoid them. Good luck. It's definitely one of the hardest summons in the game to kill, but as long as you're doing it in the weakened state, and you do your best to avoid the attacks, you should be okay. And that's it. All right, if you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment. I'll do my best to help you out. If you're looking for more guides for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, please subscribe to the channel so you get alerted when new guides go live. If you're interested in supporting the channel monetarily, please consider becoming a channel member by clicking the join button below this video. You can also leave a super thanks by clicking the heart icon below this video. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter and join my Discord. The links for those are in the description below. As always, I'm Sweet Johnny Cage. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.